All right, let's go. Aswan Cruikshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving you a perspective on teamwork that you will not get anywhere else. Let's get right into it, as always do, right? You're either growing or dying, all right? If you're not growing, you are dying. If you are not growing, you are dying. So a lot of times death is not actually in the physical, it's in the mental, all right? So you got to be constantly growing, getting better. And I will pose the question before I even start on today's Move Swiftly thought: how have you grown? How have you grown in the past, we'll just say for the past 4 years, because today I'm going to give an example of how I've grown from my first book to my latest book, which is Transferring D1. The first book is titled Swiftly, Your Guide to Innovative Teamwork, to the latest book, which is titled Transferring D1, a practical guide on how to navigate the chaotic world of college athletics. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I've grown from the first book to book number 5. All right. So when I put out the first book, it was 4 years ago, this was around right before COVID had shut everything down, right? Right before COVID shut everything down. And I will admit, I rushed it. I just wanted to get something out. The reason I put out the first book is because I was a member for a public speaking club, a very well-known public speaking club named Toastmasters, and I gave a great speech. And a lot of the feedback I was getting from seasoned speakers, they were telling me, look, you got to put out a book, you got to have intellectual property if you want to really make it in the speaking game. So I'm like, look, I just got to get something out, get something printed, and move forward. I needed something that was quick, which is why that book, in many ways, it reads like a blog post. It's something I could have easily just made an article or a blog. You can read it the way you would read an article. However, the activity at the end of it is what makes the book so special. It makes it so sticky, and so it can be applied to a lot of different businesses and things of that nature, right? So I remember I got a bunch of copies because at the time I was working at a gym, and a lot of the people that bought copies were the people who knew me as the Aswan, the 9-round trainer. This is before I got into the education world and stuff like that, or I was so heavy into the intellectual property and the speaking world as I am now. I didn't have a podcast, I didn't have a platform and all that to announce it. And so most of the people that purchased the book were the people that met me as members. They were members at the 9-round that I was a trainer of, right? So I bought a bunch of copies of the book, and I did actually hire someone to look over it. It was like $100 or whatever it was, to have somebody just get some fresh eyes on it. They made a few corrections or whatever, but there's nothing that can substitute you actually physically having a book, being able to read it, underline things, and catch certain errors and stuff like that. So I sold like 44 copies of the book, and I remember I had a copy for myself, and I was reading it. This is my first time actually reading it physically and not online, and I noticed one typo. And I was losing my mind. I was like, oh no, what do I do? And I didn't realize that, because I went the self-publishing route, it wasn't going to be that big of a deal. You just go, replace the typo, or, fix the typo and then get reprinted. It's not extra fees or anything like that to do that. So, I spotted one typo. And again, this is a book that I had already sold 44 copies of, and no one actually pointed it out. I was the one that actually went and read it and realized, oh man, I missed the is where it was supposed to be. So I can't even remember what the typo was. All right. So anyway, that was 4 years ago. Recently, I just finished proofreading a copy of my latest book, which is Transferring D1. Like I mentioned before, I just finished proofreading it, and I had a copy. This is before it's actually printed out and being able to be sold on Amazon and all that stuff. I got my physical copy, and I dug into the details. I got a pen, highlighted stuff, made sure that was done. So I just sent it back to my editor, and he was he's very, very impressed with how detail oriented I was, how much I actually dug into the details, made sure this was formatted, make sure I said this right way, make sure all this happened. And these are the reason I'm bringing all this up to you, because I'm using myself as an example in today's Move Swiftly thought in regards to how have you grown. The question has to be not that you don't make mistakes, it's how have you grown and what have you learned from your mistakes when you're putting out whatever it is you're trying to put out. These are the things that we have to make sure we're recognizing. Every last one of us is going to make a mistake. Every last one of us is going to do something that we wish we could take back, and we can go back and do this. The question is, can you grow and can you learn from it? And I'll close you out with something that my linebackers coach, Coach Gant, Coach Gint told me way back when I was in high school. He said, yo, you know, it's not a matter of you guys making a mistake. I don't really have a problem with you guys making a mistake. The problem comes when you make the same mistake after we tell you you're not supposed to do that. You do the same thing. That's when you do that. When you do the latter, that's when you're dying. When you're growing is when you can recognize, oh man, I made this mistake on my first book. Now, book number 5, I'm not making that mistake again. And I'm making sure everything, all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. That's how you grow. All right. Speaking of that, main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work, it's makeyourmove.com. That's MakeYamove.com. One-stop shop for your teamwork and your self-development needs. Also, every Sunday, the times will vary based on the guest, but every Sunday there will be a live stream regarding how to navigate the NIL world and the transfer portal world, talking business, talking how do we grow with the new rules and with the chaos that college athletics has become. We're walking you through it. It's like Jay-Z said, people going through pain, I'm just walking you through it. Got it? That's what we're doing every Sunday. The email to hit me, the email to send your information in is as1@d1transfer.com. So make sure you just hit that inbox, hit makeyourmove.com. Make sure you get in touch with me and we can figure some things out, especially even if you want to be a guest. I'm always looking for guests as well to do it every Sunday. The plan right now is to have a different guest every Sunday so you guys get a wide range of perspectives on how to navigate this world. There's no really just one way to do it. So the plan right now is to have multiple guests every single Sunday. So if you're interested in being a guest, or if you want to recommend somebody to be a guest, again, make sure you get in contact with me and we'll go from there. All right. As one Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.